We are here today to look back at all that has happened in the wild final weekend of the 2025 season. I think when they drew it up this way, this is what they had in mind, Nika.
You think so, huh?
A wild, action-packed final weekend with lots on the line, lots at stake, and
We got that. We definitely got it last night.
we did, and we're going to be talking about all of it right now. But before we do, if this is your first time here, please do us a favor and like this video, subscribe to this channel, and ring that alarm bell for our mascot, Freckles, a.k.a. Frexy. She does love the attention so much, so we appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Nika. Well, I want to start with just the last day of the regular season because this has turned into what I think is one of the most special days on the Major League Baseball calendar. And as you can see here, look at this. All the games starting roughly right around the same time. And when you have things like you had yesterday with the Yankees and Blue Jays undecided who was going to win the AL East, and the Reds and Mets who was going to get that final wild card spot, or the Tigers and the Guardians also duking it out for the AL Central, though both teams knew that they were in the playoffs by that point. You know, that's what I mean when I say this is what Major League Baseball had in mind when they drew it up. And I think starting all the games at the same time sort of verifies that, right?
Absolutely, because, everybody's going to be watching Scored. It's the last day. Come on.
Yeah, I think Torey Lovullo, the Arizona Diamondbacks manager, said it best when he actually said he encourages his players to scoreboard watch because it's human nature.
Of course.
Like, he's scoreboard watching. How can he be doing it and then tell his players out of the other end of his mouth that, don't
cannot
do that,
no.
So, I think everyone was probably looking at each other's games yesterday as they were happening. And yeah, let's start off in Toronto, where it was the Blue Jays, Nika, winning 13-4 over Tampa Bay. The Blue Jays teeing off on the Tampa Bay Rays, 13-4 in the finale, winning the AL East in the process because they were tied with the Yankees heading into the final day. The Yankees did win over the Orioles, but it was to no avail. It didn't matter. The Blue Jays won as well. So the Yankees get the fourth seed in the American League, and Toronto gets the first seed. So that's what was on the line yesterday.
Yeah, so the Toronto gets a bye.
Toronto gets a bye, and they also get the top spot. I mean, they have home field
Advantage for the whole season, for the whole playoffs.
If Toronto gets knocked out and it winds up being the Mariners and the Yankees, it's going to be the Mariners with home field advantage, even though the Yankees had a better record.
Okay.
That's because they didn't win the East. That's the seeding, know?
Yeah.
So once the seeds are set, they're set. The MLB bracket, as we'll look at in our wild card preview coming up soon, it doesn't change. It doesn't reseed throughout the process. It is what it is. The Reds and the Mets, Nika, were also involved in a last-minute decision here for who was going to go on and be in the postseason and who was going home.
Yep.
And this one was interesting because the Reds held the tiebreaker over the Mets. They were both tied heading into the game yesterday, and they both lose. The Reds were winning at one point 2-0, and I don't know how that played into the Mets game at all. But the Brewers eventually took the lead in this game, and they did win. The finale, they finished with 97 wins. That was the most by any team this year in Major League Baseball. But it didn't wind up mattering at all because the Marlins take 2 out of 3 from the Mets this weekend. They win game number 162, which was the only one that really mattered at the end. And the Mets go home. All $300 million plus of payroll on their team is not bound for the postseason.
They are the second most expensive team this season, the Mets.
Yeah.
After the Dodgers.
Absolutely. And they were, I think, spending to keep up with the Dodgers.
I think so.
And seeing how they lost the NLCS last year to the Dodgers.
They were keeping up with the Joneses.
It's a really interesting story. New York had the best record in baseball in the middle of June, only to 3.5 months later find themselves going home for an early vacation in the offseason.
They were trying.
On the flip side, last year everyone said they should be selling before the trade deadline, only for them to get back into it and make the playoffs.
It's the media influence.
bad,
They're all
right?
trying so hard to influence certain teams. But
Well, the Tigers and Guardians were also interesting yesterday, though both teams would already have a playoff spot. The division title was on the line heading into the last game. The Tigers and Guardians both tied, 87 wins, and it was the Tigers losing at Boston first, and then the Guardians coming back and winning in extra innings. So it was clean. They get the clean division victory, unlike the Blue Jays and Yankees, who finished tied. The Guardians do finish one game ahead of the Tigers, which was very paramount as well, because now Cleveland is the 3 seed, and they are hosting a wild card, while Detroit is the 6th seed, and you guessed it, they are going right back to Cleveland. We get the interdivisional matchup in the wild card round here in both the American League Series, because it will be the New York Yankees hosting the Boston Red Sox.
lots of rivalries this weekend.
Definitely.
I mean, this week.
Definitely. It is on
Yeah.
in the MLB postseason wild card round. I mean, Yankees, Red Sox, you get bad blood, history, all of it. I just want to bring our attention right back to Cleveland for 1 second, because Cleveland on September 4th had a 2.9% chance of making the postseason, Nika. And
According to whom?
according to
Fangraphs?
the Fangraphs, I think that's who it was. What a comeback. Not only do they make the playoffs and clinch on Saturday night, but on Sunday they win the division for the 2nd straight year. What a comeback. I mean,
major.
amazing. And then they put the Tigers now on the hot seat and force them to play 3 games at their place instead of at Detroit. And Cleveland did not look like a happy place for a visiting team to play this weekend. I'll just say that. Even for the Rangers, like, who had nothing on the line, like, that Cleveland crowd was into it, and they willed them to victory a little bit. I just want to call this final day schedule up one more time and just say that I hope they never, ever change this. This is absolute theater drama on the last day of the baseball season. And to, again, have all of these games starting at around the same time, I think is a great tradition. And I hope it never dies. It's great.
I think it's important to have it like this on the last day.
Yeah, I do too. And I only ask, is there other opportunities in the season where you think that this should or could be implemented to have a greater effect on the game?
I don't think so, because the other times, the games, there's so much games that the timing of the start and the finish doesn't really matter, because you have an X amount of games coming later.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
You know, I was thinking long and hard about this morning, because it's like, I don't know if you want to do it on opening day. You want to have baseball on like kind of all day that day. I then thought about the All-Star break. Is there like, should everyone like break at the same time for the All-Star break? And it, as nice as that sounds, there is one day though that stood out to me. And I thought about it, and I was like, what about trading deadline day? Do you think that is a day where maybe the games should all start and end at the same time?
I don't think there's enough time, because you have all the teams. Here, you didn't have every single team that was on the line on the last day.
I know it would be tough and difficult to orchestrate every year, probably year after year after year, unlike this, where you kind of know everyone's going to be playing on the last day of the season. You can orchestrate that a lot easier than you can like on a Tuesday or a Thursday or whatever day the July 31st happens to be that year.
Yeah, but that might be a best day to have as a secondary one to this.
Yeah, I just kind of thought about all these like, you know, goodbye stories and like, you know, teams, players saying goodbye to each other and
they're getting
moving
traded
city. Yeah,
during
exactly.
the game.
So that's what I think where my mind went to with it. All right, the MVP debate, Nika,
Oh, boy.
it is raging.
No shit.
It is. I mean, I thought last week it was heated, and over the weekend, I think things turned downright ugly. I mean,
For whom? For Judge or Riley?
I think there's enough mud being flung at this point on both sides of the argument.
No, of course.
And it's social media.
Drama.
So it's getting out of hand a little bit.
Drama sells.
And I do think this race will be looked back on, no matter what the outcome is. Like one side is always going to be vocal about getting screwed over or thinking that their player should have won.
Of course. That's sports for you.
Absolutely. Cal Raleigh finished with 60 home runs. He winds up leading all of Major League Baseball. He's the home run king. He also won the home run derby. I don't know when the last time that's happened. When has the home run league leader also won the home run derby?
No, like,
Kudos.
Somebody knows.
It was the year of Cal when it came to the long ball. I don't think anyone would argue that. Aaron Judge, meanwhile, he does get a batting title for the first time in his career. He leads the American League and all of Major League Baseball, for that matter, with a .331 batting average. And
That's
you just
good.
love to see that out of a power hitter because
That's
it puts to rest a lot of myths about like, well, if you hit for power, you're going to have to sacrifice average. And I've never really felt that way.
He is a power hitter and he is gets on base.
You could almost argue he's getting better with age.
Yeah, it's like good wine.
He did play DH quite a bit as he was rehabbing that shoulder injury that he had. And we all see how he has thrown the ball not so well in the second half of the season. But nevertheless, a great offensive season for Aaron Judge. And, we mentioned the MVP race between these two. It's getting heated. And I saw our friends Talking Baseball, John Boy account, weighing in about Cal Raleigh didn't seem to be too sure about this called strike three. And then, showing, of course, the pitching, ABS system or whatever, that it was a strike. And I feel like, we all know John Boy comes from being a Yankees fan originally, right? And now they have this partnership, though, with MLB. And I'm just wondering if they should be throwing shade at Cal Raleigh, and putting their fingers on the button here. I don't think it was malicious what they were trying to do here, but I do think that they have to grow up a little bit as they accept on these new responsibilities. You're not just a Yankees talk show anymore. You represent all of baseball. And
Sure.
for you to throw shade at Cal Raleigh because he's not your preferred MVP choice, I think you got to find a way to celebrate both without putting your thumb on the scales, at least until the season's over. I feel like too many people are getting involved and putting their fingers on the scale of these races before the season has concluded. I'm looking at you, Jeff Passan. I don't see the need to do it other than to the fact that you want to stir up the pot. You want to stir up drama. And
You just answer your own question. Drama.
I know, but that's all you're selling. And I want to point that out, Jeff Passan, that you're selling drama. You were doing it earlier in the season with Skeens. We made a video about it. Now you're doing it here with the MVP race by talking about it with Pat McAfee before the season's over. Like, wait, be patient.
Patience left the building long time ago.
I just don't, and he does it with such a smug look on his face, Nika. I don't know if that's a rude thing to say about it, but it's just like, he looks like that all the time. He's like, Cal Raleigh had such a great season, and I'm so sorry to have to say this, but Aaron Judge is the MVP.
You look like our dog.
Well, what does that say about his
puppy
face? Look, like I said, I don't think what John Boy was doing was malicious or anything, but Ben Verlander also noticed this tweet. And here's what he had to say.
Did he take sides?
He said, "Oh, come on. These two MVP candidates are very different players.
Okay.
If you believe Judge is MVP, there's a million good reasons and plenty of points to be made. Showcasing strikeouts of the other player is lame." I agree with him.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by this. It's like they're trying to tear down another player in favor of their preferred choice. And as a partner of MLB baseball, I don't think that's a good look anymore. You're free to do what you want.
So they're lobbying, basically.
They're lobbying by tearing down.
Well, that's not a good way to go about it. But at the same time, if they're not going to do it, somebody else is going to do it.
That's true. I mean, I just feel like they are in a unique position, though, now that they are partnered with MLB. They're
Fair
taking their money, so
Fair enough. They're biased.
they
by association.
gotta grow a little bit. They gotta
Sure.
grow up. The John Boy brand is a little bit childish in and of its own right, right? The whole lip reading videos, they come with a sense of humor to them.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, you do represent Major League Baseball and all of Major League Baseball now, and I think it's poor taste to put your fingers on the scale of an MVP race that is quite frankly, probably not been this contested since 1961, you know, and you're talking 65 years now. So
It's a long time.
all right. Honestly, this bit of back and forth to me is tame compared to a lot of the rhetoric and discourse about this MVP race that's out there on social media. But I just wanted to kind of point this out, you know, that like even the establishment nice guys, I guess, are getting a little bit conscientious with each other and being like, hey, come on, guys, let's punch fair. But if you do want to talk about sports and sports online, I think you owe it to the rest of us to at least come with like, you know, a real picture of yourself. And don't be a troll, basically, at the end of the day. Like,
I'm sorry. You're talking to the wrong crowd.
I don't care. I'll talk to the wrong crowd.
I'm just saying a lot of people like to troll because
I
it's
get they
social
get off
media.
on it, and I
Exactly.
get it. It's the only thing that makes you sexually have an appetite anymore. You know, it's the only thing that gets you going down there anymore is to get into online arguments and be a troll. I understand all that, but I feel like the entire sports discourse would be better served if this was like made some kind of mandatory rule. I think we could all vote on this and agree on this. I think you would find more in favor of it than they are against it. Like, you know, I mean, we are an American sports talk show, and I feel like it's a bit un-American to go online and start mouthing off your opinions about things without having the guts to stand behind those opinions.
Oh, definitely.
You have a right to have a freedom of voice and freedom of
Opinion.
expression in this world. But to do so hiding behind a picture of your dog or a cartoon frog or whatever you want to put up as your icon that represents you is cowardice when it comes to sports talk. All right. Some other league leaders, Nika.
All right.
We talked about Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge, but Kyle Schwarber was this year's MLB RBI king with 132 runs batted in. And then once again, we don't reach the coveted 150 number. It's been a while.
No?
Jose Caballero is the Major League Baseball stolen bases leader. And yeah, if you didn't know that, neither did I. I found that out this morning, and it just made me realize that with all the Kyle Raleigh and Aaron Judge drama, that some of these players get overlooked a lot in the everyday conversation. I mean, you and I have MLB Network on almost all day, every day in the background while we're trying to get stuff done and get things accomplished. And yet neither one of us knew that we know who Jose Caballero is, but we did not know he was the stolen base leader until this morning.
Yeah, we did not.
So I think
Nobody
that's pretty
talked.
sad, you know?
It is. Not as popular or not as fancy name that Aaron Judge or Kyle Riley or whoever or Juan Soto.
Not enough drama.
Not enough drama, exactly.
Over on the pitching side of things, but also in the pinstripes, Max Fried.
Oh,
He leads Major League Baseball in wins with 19 this year on the mound. Once again, we do not have a 20-game winner, Nika. I believe Scooble had 18 last year as he won the Triple Crown. The ERA leader, that goes to Paul Skeens this year at a 1.97. Obviously, we all know he didn't lead the league in wins because that was a story at one point, was how little run support he was getting despite leading the league in ERA.
gotta sell him. You gotta trade him.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff Passan. Anyways, he's the first qualified pitcher with an ERA under 2 since Justin Verlander did it in 2022. So kudos to Paul Skeens for finishing the season with an ERA under 2. Great job. Speaking of Scooby-Doo, Tarek Skubal was your Major League Baseball whip leader. 0.89 walks and hits per innings pitched. Less than 1 is always stellar. You're allowing less than a base runner every inning. That's good.
That is really good.
And yes, the reigning Cy Young winner in the American League is the whip leader for 2025. So congratulations to Scooby-Doo, one of our favorites. And speaking of American League horses, we have a new strikeouts leader, Nika.
No.
It was Garrett Crochet of the Boston Red Sox with
Oh, boy.
255 Ks. This season, he finishes with the most strikeouts in all of Major League Baseball. Ouch.
Ouch.
New York, I'm looking at you, Yankees. You're going to have to face this man in game 1 of your 3-game set. Yeah, that was what I had for this year's league leaders to kind of highlight on the final day of the season. It was a good one, and we're not done, Nika. We had some milestones happen over the weekend.
Okay.
And we are going to start with one of our favorites here on the Kanika Sports Show, Mr. Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He goes yard yesterday for home run number 55 on the season. And would you guess that it is a new career high for number 17?
Yeah, he beat his old record with the Dodgers.
He did. He had 54 last year in that famous 50-50 season with those stolen bases. Now he breaks his own home run record, his own franchise home run record for the Dodgers.
No, so in 4 years he might hit 60.
Maybe. Yeah, he might. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
No, I
Shohei
wouldn't.
Ohtani's amazing. And the fact that he was able to do this while he was doing his whole pitching rehab ramp up this year and everything that came with that, what an accomplishment. I mean, this ball yesterday, 412 feet, 109.5 miles per hour off the bat. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do? We've even heard he might play the outfield in the postseason. Stay tuned.
stay
I don't know.
We see.
What a season for Shohei Ohtani. He does it again. The Dodgers not getting the bye this year, though. They are
No.
going to have to play in the wild card round
That might
and
be
host
beneficial.
Cincinnati. It might be. We'll see. Some other milestones, though. Julio Rodriguez, one of our favorites. He goes 30-30 for the second time in his history.
Oh, this contract is shining now because he had some stipulations.
He does.
For
He
that.
has a great incentivized contract,
Yes,
I think is
incentivized.
the best way to put it. It's like a $210 million base contract, but it can maximize up to $475 or something.
Yeah, there's so many incentives for him to do good.
Well, Julio Rodriguez continues to be the best second half player, I think, in all of baseball. That's something that he's done almost every year of his career.
Well, hopefully he's better than Juan Soto.
Yeah, and now he gets a chance at October baseball here, and he's getting to do it with a team that's pretty well equipped for the postseason, minus the
Last
final
weekend?
weekend against the Dodgers. That was the one disappointment I had, is that
I know.
they couldn't.
They didn't show up.
Yeah, I thought they should have approached this more as a great opportunity to challenge themselves before the playoffs, and instead it feels like they were just like, can we get on with it and get to the playoffs? And meanwhile, the Dodgers win 3 more games. Speaking of 30-30, Nika, there were 7 players this year that had a 30-30 season, and that is a MLB record for the most in a single season. Juan Soto, Jose Ramirez, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Corbin Carroll, Francisco Lindor, Julio Rodriguez, and PCA Pete Crow Armstrong are the 7. Congratulations to these guys who, I mean, are now in the history books as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. So
Great achievements.
speed and power, baby. Speed and power. You know who's not on that list but should have been is Tatis. And he
He was injured.
Yeah, he played a lot, but he was playing hurt, we think. We'll see. Maybe he can get there next year.
Maybe.
Maybe he shouldn't be leg kicking.
Maybe. That's another good point.
Hey, this one was kind of fun. This one is weird. Rafael Devers traded midseason from Boston to the Giants. Of course, we all know the disgruntled situation that happened. But in doing so, Rafael Devers now became the first player since 2008 to play 163 games in a single season. So while teams are scheduled with 162 only, when you play on 2 different teams and it works out, this is how it worked out.
Wow, he had 1 extra game this season. That's
Yes.
crazy. When was the last time somebody had this?
2008.
Oh, okay. So not that long ago, but still.
It's still 17 years. And
Yeah.
I mean,
That's interesting.
it's crazy to think that you could have played all your team's games this year and still not led the league in games played.
But you got traded and you got extra game out of it. Cool.
Yeah, definitely one of those oddities and something that doesn't happen every day. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to the San Diego Padres, but most specifically their 90-72 record this year. And in doing so, Mike Shildt, in his 5th full season as a manager in Major League Baseball, extends his perfect streak. He is 5 for 5 in 90-win seasons or more as a manager, and I think that speaks volumes about him. You know, he took a lot of heat and grief from the Padres, Friar faithful this year, from the fan base, and sometimes I think maybe deservedly so. He's a stubborn SOB. I'll give him that much. And I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad in a manager, because at the same time, I feel like the stubborn SOB is the one the players might fight the hardest for. And at the end of the day.
But yeah, he drove us nuts a couple times with his loyalty and family-oriented approach.
It gets to be a little wearisome, I guess, or it weighs on you. Like it gets to feel old, I think, and you want to see accountability at the highest level and not just free passes of
you want to see
getting
results.
You know, like, yes, I mean, there's multiple ways to go about it, but nevertheless, you can't argue with the results at the end of the day with Mike Shildt. He finds a way to get it done.
Well, hopefully he can get it done in the postseason as well.
Well, that's another question, isn't
Yes.
it? And he's got his work cut out for him this year, starting from the 5th seed in the National League, because that means road series aplenty.
Yep.
And the Padres were not a great road team this year. So, nevertheless, Nika, we have some players that we are saying goodbye to as they are retiring from the game of baseball. One is Charlie Morton, the right-handed pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. He started with the Braves. He finishes with the Braves. A nice moment yesterday.
Yes.
And he gets a thank you from the Atlanta Braves social media team. And we can see him here in this picture, obviously a bit emotional. There's no crying in baseball, but maybe a little teary-eyed.
Those are cheers.
Tears of joy, tears of
of joy.
happiness from Charlie Morton on the final Sunday of the Major League season and the final Sunday of his career. It was also the final Sunday of this man's career, and that is Clayton Kershaw, number 22 of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and someone who will most definitely be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any getting around it. You know, the numbers are just too damn good.
Wait, so is he not playing the postseason?
Well, he's not on the wild card roster, Nika.
Okay, so he's not playing this
Fascinating
week.
turn of events. He will not be on the wild card roster. No idea what will happen in the later rounds. But as you will know, the Dodgers are pretty stacked with pitching right now, as they have Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow. There's not a lot of room for another starter in the postseason. But perhaps we'll see him back on the roster in the later rounds for long relief or anything like that. As the, series get to be more games, there might be different opportunities that present themselves to the managers in the games, and therefore they might need more pitching. We'll wait and see, but we might have seen the last of Clayton Kershaw on a Major League Baseball field, especially if the Reds just sweep the Dodgers like I'm predicting. No, just kidding.
Well, he did get a standing ovation when they announced his retirement, so good
He
for
did,
him.
and he got a victory, Nika. A
he did.
6-1 victory over the Mariners, and
Mariners
it was the
didn't
final
show up, so-
regular season start of his career. No question about it. So, hey, congratulations, Clayton.
Yep.
And, have a great rest of your life. I'm sure you've earned it.
Yeah.
We had some not so fond farewells also happen on this final Sunday and into Monday of the regular season, Nika.
Okay.
And I want to start in New York, in the metropolitan area with the Mets. And boy, oh boy, this escalated quickly. Not only did the Mets get eliminated yesterday from postseason play on the final game of the season, 162, but they also find out right after the game that Pete Alonso is opting out of his 2-year contract after the first year and will enter free agency once again. I'm getting deja vu flashbacks to last year.
And he's going to end up with the Mets again.
Well, we'll wait and see. I don't know.
That's my
I
prediction.
feel like the Mets will go in a different direction this time because
might.
of the fact that they didn't get to where they wanted to get to this year.
But that's not Pete's fault.
It's not necessarily Pete's fault, but I think at this point you got to say it wasn't working for the team.
That's true.
Francisco's there. Juan Soto's obviously there.
Of course.
And when you talk about the big trio, I think he's the one that allows them to shake things up.
Okay.
Whether it's a good shakeup or whether he comes back, we'll wait and see. But definitely tough for Pete Alonso. You know, he kind of came back under this guise of we have unfinished business here in New York. So for them to fall short of even getting a chance to get back into the NLCS and maybe beat the Dodgers this time, I think is a huge disappointment. So speaking of not so fond farewells, we're going to go now to the other side of the country. And we're going to go to the Bay Area. That's right, San Francisco. And Nika, I could have predicted this. Even when he was getting his extension earlier this season, Bob Melvin has been dismissed as manager of the San Francisco Giants after just 2 seasons. Now, we called this because Buster Posey is the new president of baseball operations as of last year. And even though they gave Bob Melvin this extension in the middle of the year, I mean, that's kind of like giving Art Howe, you know, like I can't manage on a 1 year. That was kind of like fulfilling that obligation, right? You know, because I think Melvin originally had a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option.
Yeah, I think so.
And so they were just saying like, okay, well, we'll give you the option. Now, he does get paid that option because they're firing him now. But I could have seen this coming, especially, you know, they lost 6 games in a row 2 or 3 times in the second half of the season. That's not going to get it done in the major league level. And I just saw this happening from afar, and I'm not surprised at all.
We saw how he managed the Padres.
Yeah.
And how lucky we were that he is out of that.
I want to say the day that Bob Melvin announced that he was leaving the Padres to go manage the Giants instead, and we were excited. We were ecstatic. We thought he was sleepy Bob Melvin to us. And you know, like, but he would miss challenges all the time in the dugout. Like he would challenge calls and constantly lose. And, you know, that's a reflection on you.
He was always buried in the papers. He wasn't looking at the game. He was always reading something or looking at analytics versus like watching the game and trying to figure it out, what's best, what's not.
He is. And, you know, people complain in San Diego all the time about Mike Schilt and how stubborn he is. But he was never and has never been as bad as Bob Melvin, in my opinion, as manager. And, you know, the records speak for themselves. You know, 93 wins last year, 90 this year for Mike Schilt. And Bob Melvin, they finished 81 and 81. They were right there like a month ago. 5 weeks ago. They were right there at the beginning of the season. This team was so up and down this year. It's pretty crazy that they weren't able to hang on to a spot. I got to be honest.
Buster Posey is not a typical analytics guy either.
He's not. He's going to reach in for a little bit of both. I think he's going to want someone that feels out the individual situation of a game.
Yeah.
And decide, you know what? My notes are telling me to go with this guy, but, you know, he hasn't looked too great the last couple days out, so I think we should go with this guy instead. And it seems like Melvin doesn't make those adjustments in game to himself.
Right.
That's one of the problems. The other problem is when you trade for a player like Rafael Devers in the middle of the season and give up a lot for it. I think there's an expectation that comes with that. Like, look, we've given you everything you need now to get to where we need to get. And when you fail at that objective, then it shouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
You know, I could see it on the San Francisco Giants social media side of things, especially when the Padres took 6 out of 7 games from the Giants. I think that was at the end of August.
Yeah.
And that was rough. And you could see it then that they were sick of Melvin. And so here we are.
Melvin lost the clubhouse.
He did. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the offseason when it comes to the Giants' vacant managerial position. I got to imagine that a team with the history of the Giants all the way back to New York, one of the oldest franchises in all of baseball, and with Buster Posey as the president and general manager side of things right now, I'd imagine this would be an attractive job, and having a player like Rafael Devers for the next decade pretty much locked up. I mean, you at least know what you're getting into ahead of time, right?
Absolutely. And they have to go through that due diligence. They cannot just be, whatever shiny object it is, we're going to hire.
Well, this is a warning shot to the Dodgers and the Padres right now, who have been kind of the better two teams in the West, and the Diamondbacks, if you want to go there, because the Diamondbacks outlasted the Giants this year.
And they managed very
all
well.
of those teams are managed well, even the Dodgers. But yeah, and is this the end of Bob Melvin's managerial career? Because I just don't think the last two teams, the Padres and the Giants, have gone very well, and they've only been 2-year stints. I think if I am Bob Melvin, I need to stay into smaller market teams. And the Giants are not small market. The Padres aren't even small market anymore. They average 42,000 a year.
Angels need a manager.
The Angels might need a manager. I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams that need managers, and so.
But if he wants to stay on the West Coast,
he does probably. And
He
he's not
does.
going to get the Seattle job anytime soon.
No, he's not.
Oakland, no, he's already been there.
Oakland,
and
no.
The other,
Angels. That's the
we'll
other
see.
one left.
We'll see. I don't know. Maybe Colorado.
Or Colorado. That's another one.
That might be it. But then, he knows the NL West too, and he knows those teams.
I know, but he likes West Coast.
It's about as West Coast as it's going to touch him
Yeah, I know.
anymore. So
It's his problem.
it's his problem. Yeah. Again, nothing personal. Not the biggest Bob Melvin fans, just because of the fact that you had Juan Soto, Tatis, and Machado and failed to make the playoffs, and it seems to be a recurring theme with you. So, nevertheless, the Giants now managerless. We'll wait and see what happens with that. And with that, we are going to call it on this episode. But what a final weekend of baseball it was, Nika. Crazy things happening abound, and if
the best lessons from this is you have to keep your destiny in your own hands. Astros, they lost it.
Yeah, they lost that game on Friday night, and Cleveland and Detroit gave them that opportunity, and you got to take it when you can, and there's no win that is unimportant in baseball when it comes to the end of the season. Like the Mets yesterday, I saw a graphic on social media of how many one-run games they lost this year.
A lot.
Yeah. And any one of them, any single one, Nika, and they're in.
That's why we always say all games matter. You can't take it back if you lose.
You cannot.
So.
All right. Well, this ran a little bit of overtime today, but that's okay. It was a fun final weekend of baseball.